to NASCAR. The president making a pit stop at the Daytona International Speedway for the Daytona 500, where he was met with cheers from a crowd during the national anthem.
Banner yet wave o'er the land of the free.
Trump took a lap around the racetrack with his granddaughter before the race in his limo known as the Beast and delivered this message to NASCAR drivers.
This is your favorite president. I'm a big fan. I am a really big fan of you people that you do this. I don't know, but I just want you to be safe. You're talented people, and you're great people and great Americans. Have a good day. Have a lot of fun, and I'll see you later.
And Florida Congressman Mike Haradopoulos attended the race with President Trump, and he's going to join us later this hour with more on the president's appearance at the big race. And speaking of it, got to tell you how it shaped up. That's William Byron, because he won his second straight Daytona 500 in an overtime lap thriller.
Off turn 4 and to the flag. Checker is waving, and William Byron has won the 500 for the second year in a row.
Holy cow.
And Byron saying after the race, it's not all luck to win twice in a row. He crossed the finish line after narrowly avoiding a string of late race crashes, including this massive wreck during the final stage. Video shows Christopher Bell crash into the wall before hitting Ryan Preece, causing his car to flip over the track and slide upside down into the wall before coming to a rest just outside the grass. This is the second time in 2 years Preece went airborne in a crash.
Christmas is right around the corner. And what better gift to give a loved one than this Jackcock 9000? You don't chew Big Red, then you. You should have the right tools too. So that's why you should use Mayfax, the official tampon of NASCAR.
Today's big winner, heck of a win for you today.
Well, Jack, here's the deal. I'm the best there is, plain and simple. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence, and nobody can hang with my stuff. I'm just a big, hairy American winning machine. You ain't first, you're last, you know?
Okay. Sorry, my hair's all over the place this morning. We're like jamming. We're jamming. We're rocking in the studio this morning. What an incredible weekend for America. Oh, we are kicking the Canadians' asses. Donald Trump is the man dominating the Daytona 500. Oh, this is just an awesome weekend here in the United States of America. This, the golden era. Ladies and gentlemen, today is Monday, February 17th, 2025. Fans go wild as President Trump does a lap in the Beast and then buzzes the arena with Air Force One. We're going to show you all of that American glory and greatness today on the program. Feds flee D.C. in panic and fear after mass firings. The swamp is draining itself. President Trump making good on that promise. We have a number of very interesting updates on this front. And on this glorious week, we will see Kash Patel officially confirmed as FBI director. We're going to talk through the scheduling and what's going to happen this week as will be traveling with the show. It's going to be a very exciting one. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Davis and Isaiah Carter will join the program. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Let's go, man. Let's go. It's an incredible moment. We don't want anything holding you back. The last thing you would ever want holding you back in life would be debt. Go to my friends at American Financing to get out of debt. Make sure that if you have the kind of pesky debt that may have accumulated over the Biden era, balances in the 20 or even 30, some of these rates are insane and criminal. I actually totally agree in capping credit card debt. Either way, this is something that can cripple you and stop you from getting launched, right? In especially these eras that are so exciting. You're going to have so many opportunities. So make sure that you are getting out of debt. American Financing salary-based mortgage consultants can save homeowners an average of $800 a month. You can do it right now. Call today, 888-528-1219. 888-528-1219. My friends at American Financing can help you out, americanfinancing.net. Benny. Take your financial future back. Okay, we have some late and great breaking news as of time of program. 1, happy President's Day. Here's a photo of me and my favorite president living. Who's your favorite president who's from the past? Mine would be Teddy Roosevelt for a myriad of reasons, but specifically the destruction of the federal state, the destruction of the two-party system, the taking a battle axe and a beat stick into Washington, D.C. And you were seeing sort of the, time traveler Teddy Roosevelt, I think, in many capacities, living through Donald Trump and his aura and his ethos right now. And that's why I loved Teddy Roosevelt, one of the only presidents ever to be elected outside of the two-party system. I think Donald Trump does too. I mean, Donald Trump is utterly has destroyed forever what it meant to be a Republican and is now a roaring populist. And I think this is a very good thing for the country, and obviously something that will save the country. It's exactly the tough medicine that we need. And it was the same way 120 years ago with Teddy Roosevelt and Theodore Rex. Ladies and gentlemen, this was a photo from when we flew with Donald Trump to a couple of his rallies. It was a great day. Did a whole video and documentary series on it. It was really fun. And we look forward, programming note, to being in Washington, D.C. this week. We will have opportunities this week maybe to retake this photo. We'll see. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're putting together quite an agenda for this week, and it's going to be really, really exciting. On Thursday is effectively the plan. This will be the day that Kash Patel gets confirmed as FBI director. Now, this was posted by Dan Scavino just moments before the program started. Dan Scavino posting a Kash Patel welcomed as a conquering hero video in a some type of Indian war chant Bollywood video. Apparently we can't play on the program. We'll see. ALX saying no, sadly we cannot play it. But either way, you get the point. You go ahead and check Dan Scavino, who is the digital voice of President Trump. His feed right now is celebrating the glorious conquering hero of Kash Patel into the tents of the victorious army. And so that is the symbolism that we will be carrying with us this week to Washington, D.C. We'll be speaking at CPAC as well. It's going to be very exciting. And one final little note that was passed on by a little birdie, little friend of ours named Byron Donalds, who's running for governor of the state of Florida. He's effectively announced it. He hasn't done like an official announcement, but Byron Donalds was on the plane this weekend going to the Daytona 500 with Donald Trump. And it looks like what Donalds did was lock down the Donald Trump endorsement for governor of Florida. This is something that, of course, is very important to you and to me. It's important to me because I live here and my family lives here. And this is obviously a state that I wish to preserve for our specific brand of populism that locks up criminals and gives predators the death penalty and deports illegal aliens, so on and so forth. All of these many things have been wonderful, wonderful reasons to bring my family to Florida. Byron Donalds is somebody who's going to be a continuation of that, but now with Donald Trump's blessing. Here we go. Donald Trump putting up on Truth Social just seconds before we went live today what is a de facto endorsement of our friend Byron Donalds. You've seen him on the show a couple 100,000 times. He's obviously a friend of us and was just recently at UFC with us here in Tampa, and we had a great time. Byron Donalds is an absolute G, a total champion, and what seems like gets Donald Trump's endorsement, which is game over. Now, there's some word that Casey DeSantis, Ron DeSantis' wife, might run, and so we'll see how that plays out. But this is massive for Byron. And then swiping over, you can see all the people who've endorsed Byron Donalds and who are committed supporters of his. You'll probably recognize many names on here. There's a lot of crossover from Trump world to Byron, and obviously Ron DeSantis ran against Donald Trump in what was a pretty bloody battle, 2024. I would say possibly the bloodiest this side of like Nikki Haley. I'm not sure which one did you like the least? I don't know. I think I'd go with Nikki Haley, actually. Talk about something. Look at the results. If you look at the results of the people, like Nikki Haley is stayed salty. Okay, she remains very nasty to Donald Trump, whereas Ron DeSantis is out golfing with Trump and is like working with Donald Trump. So I think there's a lot less friction there. But we'll see how it plays out. It's going to obviously be a massive race. It's going to have a lot, expect us to like care greatly about this. And as Florida goes, so goes the entire country. Republicans can't win the presidency without Florida. Florida, just a few short years ago, was a swing state that Al Gore was ready to steal. And you could obviously see the steal was happening in multiple other elections, like the election of Ron DeSantis, for instance, back in 2018. That was decided by like 10 votes in a very, very shady area of Florida called Miami-Dade, where they were doing the same thing. This is amazing. This is like, to his great credit, Matt Gaetz stood in front of one of these government houses, one of these government buildings, and stopped one of those huge box trucks from coming in. I'm not trying to go too far down this path because we have a great show to get to, but like, this was the first time I saw it with my own two eyes. It's the first time anybody has been brave enough to stand there. It was Matt Gaetz, of all people. He was standing there on camera in the middle of the night being like, why are you bringing in a massive box truck into this voting center? It's been days since the election. Ron DeSantis won by just like a handful of votes. They were trying to steal the election from DeSantis. They were bringing in this massive box truck, which would be full of printed off ballots that they had stored in one of their little stash houses. Bunch of illegal aliens, right? Untraceable mail-in ballots that they just suddenly discovered. And to his great credit, brave member of Congress, Matt Gaetz, freaking hero, out like standing in the middle of the street, stopping the truck with the illegal ballots from coming in and then destroying the state. Listen, dude, if Ron DeSantis had lost, you'd have a very different country. They would be able to continue to steal Florida. They'd be able to continue to take this state. This state going to have 35 electoral votes. That's massive. New York lost a bunch of electoral votes. California lost a bunch of electoral votes. And states like Texas and Florida are becoming so big and so powerful that we don't even need Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Michigan and those other like blue wall states. So anyway, it's an incredible timeline. It shows the power of winning and keeping states like this strong. And so we're going to obviously keep doing that. And so, ladies and gentlemen, moving on. Do we have the photo of Donalds with Trump in Air Force One? It's like freaking awesome this weekend on the way to the Daytona 500. I think your next governor of Florida, ladies and gentlemen, Byron Donalds. Let's make sure that we have him on the show. Maybe this week. That'd be great. Okay. Fans roar as Trump's beast limo leads drivers around the track at the Daytona 500. I want to tell you, as somebody who is a professional attention payer, which is what we do on this show. This is what we do, this is what our superpower is. We just simply pay attention, pattern recognition. We have weaponized autism that is a blessing and a curse. But the curse and blessing is that we can remember these very specific moments. And there's this specific moment in 2020 that is such a dark memory for me. There's video of President Trump attending the Daytona 500 in 2020. And he did the same thing. He did this big flyover with Air Force One. Then he drove on the track. And it was the last moment of American glory for President Trump. In the hours after, the full COVID-19 PSYOP will be launched. And this would have been this would be in 2020 the last great sporting event that would be held in public. In the moments afterward, This was Donald Trump's last appearance as president. So here, this is footage of it. This is going back now 5 years, right, into the history books. This is Donald Trump taking the lap, and this was at this was with the growing, raging, festering CIA-spawned psyop that was the COVID-19 protocols. Dr. Fauci, everyone was working like ravenous animals behind the scenes to destroy this man. This was the last great moment of victory for Donald Trump in 2020. After this, they would shut down all sports. They would, of course, destroy our lives, destroy Donald Trump's economy based on a virus that they created and that we funded and that was used to great effect to destabilize something that looked like a guaranteed sure thing. But what man intends for evil, God intends for good. And many could argue that actually rigging the 2020 election and deploying these assets against President Trump was a blessing, because it gave Donald Trump 4 years to sit back, to fully assess the table that's laid before him, and then to actually get to work against the evil forces, demonic forces that have been robbing us blind in this country and been destroying the future for our children. And Trump was able to reset the table. Trump went into office as like a little puppy dog in 2016 that was ready to govern from the middle and do deals with Democrats and give Democrats public health care and any deal that could possibly be struck, and DACA deals and immigration deals. This was the Donald Trump of 2016. I'm not knocking it, right? It just was a different landscape. It was a different timeline. Democrats couldn't control their demonic urges. They had to impeach him, launch hoax after hoax. They had to lock up his supporters. They had to shoot him, raid him, try and put him in the ground, bankrupt him. And ladies and gentlemen, now Democrats, you get what you get, right? You guess like now you're going to enjoy brand new Donald Trump, golden era Trump. This is golden era Trump. Going back to the scene of the crime, as it were, the last great sporting event before his presidency, ladies and gentlemen, went severely off the rails during the COVID-19 pandemic. President Trump returning like a conquering hero. This is the footage from this weekend. Just a magnificent approach and a glorious arrival. Donald Trump. It's always just freaking inspiring. You haven't seen this in 4 years. Why hasn't Air Force One been used like this over the past 4 years? A show of American might and strength, power, and force. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump doing a flyby in Air Force One. And then President Trump getting into the beast.
It was a great sight to see all the folks in the stands jumping up, grabbing phones, grabbing cameras as Air Force One did a flyby of the Speedway before landing.
We're very fortunate, Kevin, you and I, this sport's given us everything in our lives. Very fortunate to have a sport that somebody as powerful as the President of the United States of America wants to come and be a part of it, be present. Means a lot to the sport of NASCAR and everybody involved.
It does mean a lot, and I've been fortunate to go to the White House and meet with several presidents, and Donald Trump has been so good to the sport, being and attending events, the Daytona 500 twice now, so it's a great sight to see.
It's beautiful. I mean, listen, the Super Bowl was last weekend, and while you could make an argument that the Super Bowl is a 50-50 sport and that there are obviously A lot of Democrats in Philadelphia, for instance, right? And maybe Donald Trump still gets cheered from the rafters and Taylor Swift gets booed, a reflection of where we are as a country right now. This is MAGA country. This, the Daytona 500, which is 5 times bigger than the Super Bowl, is MAGA country. Donald Trump inside of the beast as he's spinning around the track. Freaking awesome. Look at this footage. This is his granddaughter, Caroline, the daughter of his son, Eric Trump. And she's there holding her MAGA hat with her ruby red slippers. Many people looking into what that might mean. Symbolism going on here. Ruby red slippers. Dorothy, the Wizard of Oz, the man behind the curtain. It's all been fake. None of this is real. All of this is fake. And we are going to expose everything. Donald Trump on the radio speaking with all of the drivers from inside of the beast. Freaking awesome moment here.
This is your favorite president. I'm a big fan. I am a really big fan of you people that you do this. I don't know, but I just want you to be safe. You're talented people, and you're great people and great Americans. Have a good day. Have a lot of fun, and I'll see you later.
Isn't it nice to be united again? Yes, I realize there are going to be blue-haired, unhappy, super miserable lunatics who are going to be screaming that they lost their job at USAID to make the goats trans, right? Like in Afghanistan. I get it. Okay? Those people aren't going to like Trump. I get that Tom Hanks is going to like play a Trump supporter on SNL and play him like a complete buffoon and a racist, and there's going to be this seething, furious, small, degenerate cabal of people who are upset that we shut down all the child trafficking. Tom Hanks, I get it. You're very sad about that. That's why you live in Greece now. Everybody's upset. All the people who are upset that Diddy's in jail and that the Epstein Island's been shut down. I get it. But 70% of the country wants that, please. This. Fans cheer as Trump's beast limo leads drivers around the track at Daytona 500. 75% of the country is very happy that this is back. We want a nation to be proud of. We want a high-trust society. To have a high-trust society, you have to have things that bring people together. Not be constantly focused on agitation and friction issues that tear people apart. And so, yes, this is actually a glorious moment. It's amazing to have a president back in the chair that actually unites the nation and doesn't rip it asunder. It's beautiful. Here's President Trump out on the tarmac, waving to the stands again, 5 times bigger than the Super Bowl.
International Speedway and the Prince family. We'd like to welcome the 44 and 47,000 of the United States.
It's uniting as the country. The same weekend, America kicks, and all the drivers coming over to pay homage. Same weekend, America kicks Canada's ass on their home turf in Montreal at their chosen national sport. Justin Trudeau in attendance. You were witnessing the launch of a golden era beyond my wildest dreams. And we have a pretty impressive imagination around here. President Trump, during the national anthem being played, you thought the Super Bowl was loud when they saw Donald Trump on the cameras and on the big jumbotrons. Check this out.
Land of the free and the home of the brave.
So important for an American president to do this. You never saw Biden do this ever. In fact, Biden turned down the Super Bowl interviews. Biden refused to go to these things. The reason why it's important is that you have to have something that shows what an American is. America is not an economic zone. It's not a bunch of tax cattle for a globalist agenda for people that actually despise this country, want us to be sicker, want us to be more unhealthy, want us to be more in debt, want us to be bigger slaves. This is what everybody in Davos and everybody at the World Economic Forum thinks. They're sneering at us. They hate our rights. They hate our Constitution. They hate our representative republic and that model. They hate us. They think that all America is an economic zone for tax cattle. And they're really happy to like make sure that we're as sick as possible and as dead as possible and as broken as possible. There needs to be something that unites you. You need to have some type of shared culture, some type of shared nationality, something to unite around in order to call yourself a nation. Because that's actually what a nation is. So it's a set of rules and things that we all agree upon. In spite of the fact that obviously everybody's going to be, every human being is unique and created by God with his unique signature. But there can be things that we can all agree upon. Kicking Canada's ass in hockey is one of those things we can all agree upon. 3-1. That's amazing. Is this all we can show? Can we not show any of the footage? Oh, man. Hey, Alex, give me some of the fights. Come on, man. You got to be able to get some fights. Justin Trudeau. These are the moments that create a nation, not just an economic zone. Creates a high-trust society where people can sing Christmas carols together and send their kids down the street to go trick-or-treating. Because you know that you can believe in something. Get this off. This is Canada. That's not what I want to say. That's the opposite of a high-trust society. Canada is proving how globalism actually atomizes any sense of your national self, any sense of any type of allegiance to your nation. Donald Trump going to the Daytona 500 is about grabbing that ethos, that vibe, that good old-fashioned sense of being a badass American watching a car drive 220 miles around track again and again and again, crashes, kick-ass drivers, people named Cletus. You know, like the pure American muscle and might. They don't have those kind of races in Europe. It's about grabbing national pride again and thrusting it forward. And this is why it's important. Here's Donald Trump on the raceway doing an interview. Let's go.
Spot. What brings you back to the great American race?
Well, I think it's fantastic. It's great for the country. Our country is doing well again, and we have spirit all over the world. There's spirit again. We brought it back, and it's been less than 4 weeks. So you'll see what we do in a little period of time. It's going to only get better, but this is very exciting.
You brought your granddaughter. I know some of your other family members are here. You get to take a ride around in the Beast. What is that like?
I'll let you know in about 2 minutes because they're going to be going quite quickly, I understand.
And you just got to meet some of the drivers. Are you going to get on the radio again and talk to them before the start of this?
And I say they have a lot of courage doing this. It's I see it, and I've been here, and they have a lot of guts, as they would say.
Mr. President, enjoy your time.
Thank you very much. Great.
Bye.
Thank you, Jamie.
NASCAR tweeting out an image of Donald Trump saying, "This is our president." You remember NASCAR, one of those very sad moments over the last 4 years that are just depressing, like we hallucinated through it all, like we lived in a fever dream. NASCAR was one of those extremely woke professional sports organizations that like went with reckless abandon into DEI, into hoaxes. Oh, Bubba Wall, there was a noose in my garage. All of it. Like they sent 100 different feds, 100 different FBI agents down there. Like a trial balloon of things to come, right? Let's plant a hoax, and then let's use the full power of the federal government to torture people. And they did the same thing for January 6th. Bubba Wallace was the trial balloon, right? A total hoax, fabricated and accelerated by the corporate media into absurdity. It's the garage pole. This is stupid. Everyone has one. It's like the same thing in every garage. It was so dumb. We've just lived through the dumbest possible timeline, and it's so great to be back. And look at Trump, dude. Check this out. This is like this. What's with this guy? Like, what? This is not AI. It goes so hard. Guys, he's looking better than ever. I don't get it. I've often said I think they raided Mar-a-Lago to find the Fountain of Youth. And that's got to be buried. The old Spanish burial grounds for the Fountain of Youth right there on the island, right where the Spanish landed. Is what they were looking for. Trump goes so hard. So it was a wonderful weekend filled with... Hey, Alex, can we show any of the American... Can we please get me a clip? I know we can. Get me a clip of American hockey players beating Canadians' asses, all right? It's too exciting. We're not going to move off our sports block here until we cover this. Let's go to Blackout Coffee, ladies and gentlemen, okay? As we grab you some American hockey players kicking ass. Blackout Coffee, ladies and gentlemen, how we start our day. As you know, our entire family had flu last week. The little kiddos are still in recovery mode. It seems like everybody's got this thing. It just is what it is. You definitely, in these times, if you are a young father, if you're just a young entrepreneur, if you're a professional trying to rise and grind in the golden era of President Trump, you want to make sure that you have the caffeine coursing through your bloodstream. Make sure that it's legal. Make sure that it's supporting not the Marxist dictatorships that are fighting with Trump right now south of the border, but true American companies that are making great American products. And one of them is Blackout Coffee. They power my show. Their coffee is constantly in my mug. And when you have brutal weeks that wear you down, this is sometimes the best way to pep up and to match the energy of the moment. That's why I drink Blackout Coffee. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Use the code Benny for 20% off your first order. Taste of coffee doesn't just wake you up, it fires you up. blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Let's freaking go. All right, get me those fights. Get me those fights. Okay, America got booed. Here's the setup. Americans got booed with their national anthem. As soon as the national anthem, now I know we have that clip. As soon as the national anthem pops on in Montreal, Canada, for something called the Four Nations hockey battles here, it includes nations from Scandinavia, Finland, Norway, Canada, America, and they're battling it out. As soon as the national anthem comes on, they rain down boos on the American team. And we took that personally. And so then this is what happened. Now, do you have the boos? Yeah, okay, let's have a listen. Here we go. This is your radicalization moment. State. Okay. Behaving like the 51st state. Not good. Ladies and gentlemen. Not good. But then, as soon as this happened, the fighting broke out. And there were 3 fights that America won in the first 90 seconds, with Americans just absolutely obliterating Canadian players. And then just smashing them on the actual ice itself. 3-1. Again, this is right into a Tim Hortons sign. I mean, look at fully diagonal. Yeah. And this is their national sport. I'm telling you, there's an amazing, my entire timeline is filled with people saying, you know, hockey hockey is so much more American than the NBA, than basketball. And hockey, I think, in the Trump era is going to see a massive, massive surge in popularity, especially after this game. So this was particularly sweet and glorious and added to a wonderful, wonderful weekend of exceptional news. Let's carry on, ladies and gentlemen, from the sports world into the political world. The return to office for federal workers and federal layoffs, how Trump's policies are affecting the D.C. housing market. Oh, no. So one of the greatest indicators of how your state is doing, whether people want to live in the areas that you are leading, right? If you're the state of California, if you're Florida, is the U-Haul metric. And we often talk about this. The U-Haul metric shows who left where and who moved where. And you won't be surprised to learn that, of course, California, for like the 10th year straight, is the #1 outgoing U-Haul state. And every state in the top 10 were all blue states. Every one of them. ALX's Massachusetts was on there. New York was on there. A bunch of East Coast states up the eastern seaboard. And then up the West Coast, left coast. Everybody fleeing. Where are they going? Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, Texas. This won't be a surprise to you at all. Arkansas was way up high on the list. Sarah Sanders doing incredible work in Arkansas. So you can see how people vote. You vote with your feet, right, as they often say. You can move to these places, and you can show people exactly how the Constitution works, because the more people move to Florida, the more electoral votes we get, the more out of reach it becomes for Democrats to win on a national playing field. From return to office to federal layoffs, how Trump policies are affecting the D.C. housing market. Let's go ahead and look here. Housing markets in Washington, D.C. and other areas of high concentration of government workers have already been impacted by the Trump administration's new policies, according to Redfin agents. Return to office mandates for federal workers have led to an increase in home buyers, but uncertainty about federal jobs have discouraged others from buying or selling their homes, according to a report. President Donald Trump announced in January 29th that federal workers would be fired if they did not return to work in person. Home prices in the nation's capital have fallen nearly 10%. And the number of homes that are $1 million plus homes have skyrocketed. We've often talked about this, how the counties in and around Washington, D.C. are the single highest priced homes in all of America. It makes no sense because Washington, D.C. doesn't create anything. They have no natural resources. There are no diamond mines there. The only actual gold mine is the U.S. printing press for the United States Treasury. And with that, what they have done is they have printed and fire-hosed lavish lifestyles and untold billions into their own bank accounts. That is why the counties all around Washington, D.C. are the richest in America. This is pretty remarkable. The homes for sale. You can look here at these $1 million homes for sale. Do we have the map? Give me that map, please. I want a map of all of the unbelievable Zillow homes. There's like a total and complete bloodbath across all of Washington, D.C. It is particularly juicy for me because I used to live there. And you would have, I mean, we lived in the ghetto when we lived there. It was an incredibly unsafe neighborhood. We were still we bought our first house for $500,000, which would be one of the most expensive houses where I come from in Iowa. And we were buying in the hood, right? Look at this. Look at this. Insane. Look at this, $30 million. What a joke. And it's in a swamp, right? These aren't nice areas. This is not like, there's no mountains, there's no ocean. Again, there's no diamond mines or steel or coal or any industry. It's a literal swamp. The only industry is fraud. All right. So the what went viral is this from this weekend. Zillow map today, 7,000 single-family homes just went for sale in Washington, D.C. and Arlington. These are the homes that are peppering the landscape. Obviously, this is a in good times is it a tough market to buy in because a lot of people want to be close to here, even if it's their third or fourth home. Here's the history. Look at that drop. Just absolutely crashing as feds freak out, scream, and run. Some of the feds that are screaming and running, the Arlington homes for sale, coming soon, freak out maps, ladies and gentlemen. Some of the people who are leaving are now shrieking to 60 Minutes about how unfair their lives are. I want to begin by saying that I often don't ever celebrate people losing their jobs. I've been fired before, fired very publicly. It's terrible, and it's obviously a moment for darkness to creep in, especially if you're a man, and it can really affect your life. So I do my very best not to, like, it's bad juju, not to, like, parade around, right, and, like, stomp on somebody's dreams, unless there's one caveat there. Unless you are existing entirely off of fraud and charity from the American taxpayers, and you have a zero value job. If you're creating zero value to the American economy, like I will cry, I will weep, and I will comfort the guy at 7-Eleven that does that scans stuff, right, at midnight, scans packs of Zyn at midnight, right, for truckers. That individual provides so much more value to our American economy. That 16-year-old zit-faced kid, right, from Branson, Missouri, who's working the truck stop, that individual, you provide way more value than anybody who ever worked at USAID, who provides negative value to the country. The country is trillions in debt. The country won't be able to pay its debt. The country can barely service the interest on the debt. The people who are responsible for that create zero value. And one of them's name is Christina Dry. Christina Dry was pranced about on 60 Minutes in the newest PSYOP to complain about how sad she is that she just got fired by Elon Musk. Let's begin by playing you the clip that aired on 60 Minutes of female Shrek talking about how sad she is because her zero value job got cut go.
People are really scared. I think that, 12 days ago, people knew where their next paycheck was coming from. They knew how they were going to pay for their kids' daycare, their medical bills, and then all gone overnight.
All gone overnight for Christina Dry and Adam Dubard, fired this month in the chaotic shutdown of foreign aid distributed by the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID. More than 8,000 USAID employees were sent home by the administration.
And they had to leave the building. And these are folks who had decades and decades of public service serving USAID across administrations, from, George Bush to Obama to the first Trump administration. And they were never able to walk back in the building again.
There was no process? No one explained to them why they were being relieved?
To my knowledge, they received an email, and then if they didn't leave the building, they were escorted out of the building.
So I want to begin with something here before we get into Christina Dry and who this individual is and why she is specifically being trotted out. They just cast her as a innocent public servant who was there to build schools in Nigeria. They don't tell you the real story of who this person is. But let's step back for a second. They're asking you, these doughy slobs who have been suckling, who are extras in White Chicks, have been suckling off the federal teat and been defrauding the taxpayers, existing in zero value jobs, providing nothing for the American people at all. Amazing how they don't ever actually indicate, like, did you ever do anything good? Like, the question was never asked, like, did you do anything for this country? Have you ever created anything of value for this nation? You know who did? People that provided clean, affordable energy, which has been disaster for this country. Don't need to get too far into it, but if you don't like the cost of things, look at the price of oil. Everything, the cameras we use for the show, this laptop, this phone, the lunch that we eat, everything in your house was brought to you thanks to petroleum, thanks to fossil fuels. If the rate of cost for those fossil fuels triples, what do you think will happen to all of the goods and services you use? Where does inflation come from? Inflation comes from the raw materials to get you the products that you want to live with, for, by, from. All of it comes from fossil fuels. Joe Biden triples the price of gas. Do you remember during the height of COVID, gas being below $1? Like, I remember seeing like 99 cents. The average price of gas, ladies and gentlemen, for the Trump era was below $2. So in many places, the cost of gas has tripled. Around here, it's still $3.50. People in New Jersey, it's like $6. What's the price of gas where you live? It's obscene. That's your inflation. The point is, nobody cried when Joe Biden canceled the Keystone XL pipeline, killing the jobs of thousands and thousands and thousands of American workers. Nobody worried about them. Nobody sobbed, where are they going to get their child care? None of it's real. They expect you to cry for replaceable, zero value, fed, generic fed, doughy fed 34621. They expect you to cry for that person? No. I am bothered so much more by the truck stop attendant in Branson, Missouri, losing his job selling Zyn at midnight. They actually created real jobs. But then if you peel the onion layer back just a little bit onto who Christina Dry is, you'll notice that Christina Dry is actually a total psyop. I'm a career civil servant. I'm just sitting here hoping to build schools in Nigeria. Nope. She's the propagandist for USAID, the chief propagandist. Longtime speechwriter for the Biden administration, USAID Administrator Samantha Powers. Mike Benz has been on our program time and time again talking about the evils of Samantha Powers. Just a quick cursory scrub through her social media shows you that not only was Christina Dry's job to propagandize the world about all the great good that the billions of dollars that are being stolen from USAID are doing. Here's some of the good it's doing. Here's right there. Klein, put that up. Here's where USAID money was actually going. Right here. There you go. There's your school in Nigeria. All right? Another home for Bill Kristol. Another home for an Obama appointee. Another home for Henry McMaster or Mark Milley. Here you go. Another $30 million home in some godforsaken cul-de-sac around Washington, D.C. This is who 60 Minutes decides to put up as the face of the torture that's happening right now to federal workers. Look at some of her posts on social media. Just a few posts from Christina Dry, the former longtime speechwriter for the Biden administration's USAID Administrator Samantha Powers. 60 Minutes uncritically quoted Christina Dry in their segment this evening as just a servant of the people. No, she's a psychotic radical who has pronouns in her bio and who's a bloodthirsty advocate for race-based hiring, for racist hiring. No big deal. This Christina Dry is the former longtime speechwriter for the Biden administration, USAID Samantha Powers, who quoted uncritically by 60 Minutes tonight, writing thousands of words in favor of critical race theory. Christina Dry, longtime former speechwriter for the Biden administration, USAID Samantha Powers, who was quoted uncritically by 60 Minutes, made a Black Lives Matter reading list for all of her allies. This is the Jerry Dunleavy thread, please, Klein. Got it. The authors include Malcolm X, Howard Zinn, and Ta-Nehisi Coates, radical Marxists. She also wrote in 2016 how she voted for Bernie Sanders and then how excited she was to vote for Hillary Clinton. Got it. Christina Dry, longtime former speechwriter for the Biden USAID Administrator Samantha Powers, was quoted uncritically by 60 Minutes, wrote in 2018, "The police won't shoot my white skin, but we all know that statistically they would shoot Latino or black skin." And she also compared Trump administration and Elon Musk to Hitler and the Nazis. Par for the course. So this is the new psyop just dropped. Feel sorry for this Fed. It's kind of amazing that this is the person that they could find. This is the most sympathetic character that you could find, the literal mouthpiece propagandist getting trotted out there. Elon Musk responding to 60 Minutes. Here saying, 60 Minutes are liars. Community note states, all employees were offered 8 months' pay and benefits. And one final little note here. Elon Musk up with a fascinating little detail that most of America are vampires. Did you know this? Did you know that millions of time-traveling vampires are getting Social Security? Look at this. These are the ages of people who are currently receiving Social Security. According to the Social Security database, there are numbers of people in each age bucket within the death field that are receiving Social Security. Maybe Twilight is real and there's a lot of vampires. I've met a 100-year-old person before. I've never met anybody who's 119. Yeah, and then it goes all the way up to 369. There's somebody who's 369 years old. That's, of course, hundreds of years older than our country. Would definitely love to book them on the show. I'm sure they have plenty of stories. There are thousands of people receiving Social Security who are the same age as our country, who are old enough to have fought in the Revolutionary War. Please book them for Veterans Day. Would love to talk to a Revolutionary War vet. The fraud. All of this money is going to criminal aliens. All of this money is being funneled, going directly so that the people who worked at USAID can buy their $30 million mansions in Bethesda and their cul-de-sacs. Here you go. This is actually where your Social Security money is going. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is a total fraud on the American people. The work that Elon Musk is doing is the single most important work in all of America, exposing a much bigger problem for the nation. And there are big problems that are currently ongoing right now. Goodness gracious. Elon Musk is being sued in the District of Columbia. Of course, Tanya Chutkan, as you might recall, one of the single dumbest, most nefarious, vindictive, evil, vicious January 6th judges, who is also a bitter, sad woman who got the Trump prosecutions ripped from her and the Jack Smith prosecutions turned to ashes in her hands. Ladies and gentlemen, she's now facing a new docket to try and eliminate Elon Musk's Doge. Joining us now, live, to talk about all of it and the new strand of particularly vicious and nefarious lawfare from the left is the great Mike Davis of the Article 3 Project. Mike, so it seems like Elon's over the target, right? So if they're going after Doge, if they're trying in multiple courthouses, they're trying to eliminate Doge. What a great endorsement of the work that Doge is doing. Will it succeed?
No, it will not ultimately succeed because the President of the United States not only has the constitutional power under Article 2 of the Constitution, he has the constitutional duty under Article 2 of the Constitution to take care that our laws are faithfully executed. And that includes making sure that we do not have waste, fraud, and abuse. And what Elon Musk is doing with Doge is he's trying to root out that waste, fraud, and abuse for President Trump. So President Trump fulfills his constitutional duty. Elon Musk and Doge are White House officials. They work for the White House chief of staff who works for the president of the United States. Everything they are doing is perfectly legal. And it's also, again, their constitutional duty to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. And when you have activist judges telling the president of the United States, his White House staff, including Elon Musk, and even his Treasury secretary, that they cannot look at Treasury payments, money going out from the federal Treasury to who the hell knows where it's going, that only career officials can look at those Treasury payments, but not the duly elected president of the United States, his White House staff, and his Senate-confirmed Treasury secretary. That is clearly unconstitutional. This is an outrageous sabotage of the president's Article 2 powers by this activist judge, and the Supreme Court of the United States needs to use the emergency docket to stop this.
It does seem like there is a confirmation here that the deep state is real and feels incredibly threatened right now. Is that the same takeaway that you have, Mike?
Yeah, the same people who pretend that the deep state is a conspiracy theory have certainly taken off their masks since President Trump was elected to office, because they really think that career officials in the Treasury Department do not have to tell their bosses, like the Treasury Secretary, or White House staff like Elon Musk or the President of the United States, where they're sending U.S. taxpayer money, right? That's a big problem. You have USAID foreign service officers who think that they don't report to the President of the United States, and then you have a federal judge, this Carl Nichols, who was even appointed by Trump the first time, who thinks he can tell the President of the United States you can't bring home foreign service officers serving abroad within 30 days because Carl Nichols has decided that that's too soon, and the commander-in-chief's decision doesn't matter, according to this activist judge, Carl Nichols. Maybe Carl Nichols has a conflict of interest that we need to explore at a later time. I mean, this is an outrageous abuse by these activist judges. This is not the president trying to steal legislative power from Congress. This is not the president trying to steal judicial power from the federal judiciary. These are activist judges who are stealing the president's core Article 2 executive power. The executive power belongs to the president and the president alone, and not to career, unelected, unaccountable bureaucrats who work for him.
It does seem like, especially the Rhode Island case, and I don't know the name of the exact judge, I'm sure you do. There's this judge in Rhode Island whose wife works for USAID, and he's on the dole, he's getting paid, and he made this ruling that Trump needs to come to him and report all of his government expenditures to this judge. Donald Trump, elected by 77 million Americans, needs to grovel to some guy in some backwater in Rhode Island who lives in a trailer, and Trump needs to beg him for the ability to be president. This is like what we fought a Revolutionary War against, right? It's like that. It is clearly this doesn't function. Clearly, this is not a functioning republic.
I would say this: Rhode Island Judge John McConnell is Senator Sheldon Whitehouse's buddy. This McConnell donated $500,000 to Democrats, and then he got his appointment after that from Obama and Sheldon Whitehouse, and he has been a left-wing activist on the federal bench since he got there. Now, I don't think his wife works for USAID. That's a different judge. But the problem is that this is a judge who has taken off his judicial robe, climbed into the political arena, and has begun to throw political punches. And I would say to these judges who do that, expect to get counterpunched politically by the Article 3 project. We are going to name and shame you when you climb into the political arena, when you try to sabotage the president of the United States. Look, President Trump ran on the fact that he's going to hire Elon Musk, set up Doge, and lay waste to waste, fraud, and abuse in the executive branch. And the American people liked what they heard because they elected President Trump on November 5th with an overwhelming mandate, 312 electoral votes, all 7 swing states. Republicans kept the House, and Republicans won the Senate because of President Trump and his policy agenda. And so these resistants understand they can't stop him in the House, they can't stop him in the Senate, so they're getting desperate, and they're using their activist judges, mostly Democrats, but even a Republican, maybe with a conflict of interest, who are trying to stop the president from using his core Article 2 executive powers, like firing executive branch officials, like we saw with Dellinger, recalling foreign service officers within 30 days at USAID that Carl Nichols inexplicably stopped, unless you understand there's a potential conflict of interest. And then you have other judges trying to tell the president he can't look at Treasury payments, and his Treasury secretary can't look at Treasury payments. This is a radical assault on the presidency, so much bigger than President Trump, just like presidential immunity. And the Chief Justice, John Roberts, needs to get his federal judges in line and protect the separation of powers. Otherwise, when these federal judges, when these federal courts lose their legitimacy, they will lose their jurisdiction and they will lose their funding. I will make that my mission at the Article 3 project.
You don't have a president, right? Not as it's constitutionally formed. If every president has to go to every single backwater jurisdiction in all of America and grovel to judges to do their job, you don't have a functional presidency, right? No, I think that's ultimately the question before the Supreme Court, right, Mike?
Yeah, let's just ask Carl Nichols. Does President Trump have permission from you, Carl, to move troops? Or is that going to put too much of a burden on those troops and their families? Does the President of the United States have the power to send ICE agents to the southern border and detail them until we clean up the border? Or does Carl Nichols, who thinks he's the HR director for the executive branch or the union boss, I'm not sure what he thinks his job is. Does he think that these ICE officials are going to be too burdened under Carl Nichols's rationale if President Trump moves ICE officials to the southern border? How does Carl Nichols think he has the power to tell the president he can't bring foreign service officers serving abroad at USAID home within 30 days, paid, bringing them home from overseas? How the hell does this judge think that he has the power to stop the president from doing that? Unless, of course, this judge has a conflict of interest.
Yeah. So how does this argument go at the Supreme Court, Mike? It seems like a very simple one, right? It seems like a very clean argument at the Supreme Court.
It should be a simple argument, Ben, and that is if the 6 conservative Supreme Court justices follow the Constitution. We know the 3 radical hens are not going to do it. They're just cucking around, Trump deranged. The radical hens on the Supreme Court just bitter. They're pissed off that they're in the permanent minority for the rest of their lives. Just a bunch of bitter women on the left. But I would say this about the 6 Supreme Court justices who are supposed to follow the Constitution. Now is the time to find your backbones, because if federal judges can tell the president of the United States and his Treasury secretary they can't look at Treasury payments, if federal activist judges can tell the president he can't fire executive branch officials, and not only that, the president has to take them back into office over his objection. If the president of the United States has to listen to HR Director Carl Nichols on the D.C. District Court before he moves soldiers, sailors, airmen, ICE officials, USAID workers, if that's what the presidency comes down to, these federal judges, these activist judges are going to destroy the presidency.
You bring up such a great point. I just want to, before we move quickly here, I just want to touch on this. President Trump is firing people who have launched coups against him, who have potentially tried to assassinate him either physically or judicially. He is firing people who obviously don't want to work with him, who want to destroy him and might want to see him killed. Again, it begs the question, Mike, if a president can't do that, you don't have a presidency. You have a constant insurrection, a constant coup against a president, and you're pretty much feeding any president that goes against the DC mainstream into a wood chipper. and saying you're going to have to work in this den of vipers of people who hate you and will sabotage you and destroy you. That happened in Trump term 1.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would say this, and let's talk about funding. If the president of the United States finds out that Congress has funded the UN in Gaza, which is funding Hamas terrorists, which kills Israelis and Americans, and the president knows that Congress has funded this terrorism, and the president stops this as the commander-in-chief, as the chief executive officer, do the courts really think the president can't stop that? Do the courts really think, oh, well, Congress has funded the UN in Gaza. We've learned that the UN in Gaza is a Hamas front group that ran terrorism, the worst terrorism imaginable against Israelis, where they kidnapped, raped, tortured, murdered women, children, the elderly, babies, the disabled. And the president learns that Congress has funded this terrorism. Congress didn't realize they did this, but the president wants to stop this. He wants to impound that money so this money does not keep going to Hamas terrorists through their UN Gaza front group. Can a judge stop him? Really? Does the Supreme Court really think a federal judge can stop that? These federal judges need to stay in their lane. They need to get the hell out of the Article 2 executive power lane and getting back to deciding cases and controversies. And their job is not to issue nationwide injunctions and ex parte TROs telling the president that he's essentially sabotaged in performing his constitutional duties because these left-wing judges and conflicted Republican judges have policy disagreements and actual conflict of interest with the president of the United States. So they are creating the constitutional crisis. These activist judges are creating the constitutional crisis. And this is the time for the Chief Justice, John Roberts, to step up and stop this. Because if there is a constitutional crisis, the judiciary is going to lose. They're going to lose their jurisdiction. They're going to lose their funding.
So speaking of losing funding and jurisdiction, in the Southern District of New York, there was a mass shrieking. I don't know what else to call it, like the no meme, right? Where the lib screams no. Like that happened last Friday when there was when the DOJ ordered the dropping of the case against Eric Adams. And you have an op-ed in Fox News this morning. Trump DOJ brings down a sovereign district of New York. This is, again, a data point in the proof that there is a deep state. There is a totally unaccountable group of activists who don't believe that they answer to the executive branch. Is this correct, Mike?
Yeah, so the acting deputy attorney general for President Trump, Amel Bove, gave this interim U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York a civics lesson when the attorney general, Pam Bondi, wanted the Southern District of New York to drop the bogus corruption charges against New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Now, Bove did not say that these were bogus charges. He didn't even have to go there. He just said, look, we want these charges dropped because they don't fit within our the president's or the attorney general's prosecutorial priorities. When you're wasting resources going after the New York City Mayor Eric Adams, who got sideways with Biden on immigration, you're not spending your resources to go after violent crimes and migrant crimes, right? That's number one. And number two, the president and the attorney general determined that they wanted New York City Eric Adams to stay in place because he's actually cooperating with the president and the attorney general and DHS and getting these illegal immigrants the hell out of our country, which is like what 75% of Americans want. And so you have this pencil neck interim acting U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York, this very well-credentialed former Supreme Court clerk, Ivy League freaking nerd, who thinks it's her job to tell the president and the attorney general and the deputy attorney general, no, I disagree with you on that. Well, too bad, right? No one elected you. You don't make these decisions, sweetheart. And so that's why you lost your job, as you should have. And they tried to throw out their conservative legal credential. And I would say this to these conservative FedSoc cucks. You're going to get a civics lessons here, right? Federal prosecutors work for the Deputy Attorney General, who works for the Attorney General, who works for the President of the United States. And if you think that you work for the sovereign District of New York, you are a problem. You are very dangerous in our constitutional order. You think you are an unelected, unaccountable official in the Southern District of New York, and you don't report to the political leadership of the Justice Department, and who doesn't report to the President of the United States, who is not elected by the American people. I would say to these sanctimonious career prosecutors, go to hell, go find another job.
It's amazing how they finally speaking of finding backbones, Mike. The abject torturing of America's leading and then victorious political candidate, his family, everybody who ever said anything nice about him, the torturing of his supporters, at least 2,500 of which were facing or did hard time in federal prison, and you didn't see a single resignation. It's amazing. So reading through your op-ed this morning, I'm sitting there screaming in the car. Not a single Fed objected to what they did to the J6ers. Not one. You didn't see a single Fed walk off the job before the Mar-a-Lago raid, or before like the angry librarian, Narwhal raid. You didn't see any of it. Not once. There was not a single protest point. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. They loved it. They all went along.
Where was Danielle Sassoon, or whatever the hell her name is, nobody until a week ago? Now she's the hero of the left.
Lady.
She's the FedSoc cuck, useful idiot of the left, because she was the principled warrior who stopped the president and the attorney general from dropping bogus charges against the New York City mayor, Eric Adams, because Adams dared to oppose Joe Biden when Joe Biden was overloading New York with a bunch of illegal immigrants who were committing crimes. The mayor was doing his damn job. Biden indicted him for that.
Yeah. None of these people said anything. So I say, out with them. Like, out. We'll get Kash Patel confirmed this week, and out with it. Like, just be done. If this is your line, if you had nothing to say over the last 4 years when you thought Democrats would have a permanent majority and permanent power, and you were dutifully sucking their toes and licking their boots and torturing members of President Trump's administration, himself, his family, and his supporters, then I have no F's to give when you're sitting here bitching and crying. Okay, Kash Patel confirmation real quickly, Mike. We're going to get Kash this week, yes?
Kash is coming probably on Thursday. Remember, Ben, when President Trump nominated Kash, all the very smart people said that Kash Patel's nomination was dead on arrival. And then the Article 3 Project teamed up with your show and other shows, and we got people to light up the Senate, and they went from dead on arrival to about 3 days later, make it stop. When can he start? So let's finish the job. Go to article3project.org, article number 3project.org. Take action. We've had 6 nominees we've been trying to get across the finish line. We have 5 of them across the finish line. The last one right now is Kash Patel. Top left corner there, you see that handsome man who's going to be our next FBI director, Kash Patel. He is going to be a warrior. He's going to clean up that dumpster fire of the FBI. He's going to take out the politicized and weaponized garbage out of the FBI and focus the FBI on real crimes that affect real Americans, like violent crimes and migrant crimes.
Politicized, weaponized garbage. Mike, I can't let you go without getting your comment on the single most true thing you've ever said on this program. And you've said so many true things, but this ranks number 1. You told us months before it happened that Letitia James's fat ass would be going to prison. And you caught some hell for that. But lo and behold, like a present, like a late Christmas present that you discovered a month after Christmas. Here it drops into our laps on Friday. The DOJ announces lawsuit against Letitia James, of all people, for harboring migrants and dangerous criminals and terrorizing Americans against federal law. And it's almost, Mike, it's almost like you knew. It's almost like you had a sense about these things. So I just wanted to give you an opportunity to do a touchdown dance on this one.
Well, I would say this. I think Pam Bondi made the decision to bring a civil lawsuit because I don't think Pam has the budget right now to feed Tish James in prison. So I think we're going to wait until we get a supplemental from Congress for the prison food budget to feed her fat ass in prison. And I think that's going to be the step 2. Media matters. They are going to be all over this. Blaring headlines: Mike Davis and Ben Johnson cause controversy again. But I love you, Big Tish.
Oh man, Mike, I love that you make it impossible for us to ever travel to New York. I really do. I don't miss it. I don't want to go to New York. And I'm very glad that the list is just checked off, okay? That we're actually not allowed to travel to New York based on your comments on our show that are 100% accurate. And we freaking love you, Mike. Everybody go follow Mike, obviously. Hundreds of thousands of people already do. Mike on his way to 500,000 subs. 370,000 Americans follow him and also support the Article 3 project. You can find it right there. And put up that scorecard one more time. Look at Mike's work. He's just absolutely freaking got him. He's gotten all the nominees across the finish line, and the last one is this week. There it is. What a scalp wall there, Mike.
Yeah, I may be crazy, but I'm almost always right, and I almost always win. So we're going to get cash across the finish line on Thursday, and we're going to bring justice to the FBI.
Fantastic, man. I'll see you at Cash Patel's swearing in ceremony, Mike. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be an awesome week.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Mike. Exciting times, ladies and gentlemen, for the nation. We have so many victories on so many fronts. Sometimes it's hard to know who to thank. But we do want to just bow our head humbly and thank one individual for her part in all of this. That would be Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris went viral this weekend for being blackout drunk. Kamala Harris was blackout drunk backstage at a Broadway show, right, which is where you get banished. Either that or libs get banished to only 3 places, okay? You get banished to the back of Broadway shows. That's where Hillary Clinton goes and hangs out. Jeffrey Epstein's prison cell. That's also where Hillary Clinton hangs out in the dark of night. Or Guantanamo Bay. We're working on that one, okay? We're working on that one. The flights are going to Gitmo. Ladies and gentlemen, Kamala Harris has entered her slumming around the stages of Broadway, like one of those famous New York subway pizza rats, and she's drunk. Listen, there's no other way to say it. She's clearly needs help. Somebody needs to bring her to AA. They need to get her on the program. I don't like seeing it. But here's what. Donald Trump's out, like at the Daytona 500, like, gentlemen, start your engine, doing laps, doing flyovers. Here's what his opponent in the 2024 election is doing.
For those rights to be maintained, which means we have to be vigilant, and it's just the nature of it. I mean, look at this beautiful play and everything that we know. He had to suppress so much, but he knew, and he took those risks. But we have to be clear-eyed. And it doesn't mean we don't see the beauty in everything, right? These things all coexist. But I believe we fight for something, not against something.
Yes. Right.
And that's our optimism. Right?
Thank you so much.
All right, with that, I'll leave it.
Oh, great. That's all so inspiring. Kamala Harris inspires on Broadway. Keep doing it. We covered last week, Kamala Harris is winning the vote to be Democrat nominee in 2028. Kamala Harris versus J.D. Vance, which would I think is just the absolute front runner right now. I was never against J.D. Vance. I was somebody who wanted to absorb as much information as possible. And like, listen, our group, our cohorts, like Don Jr., Tucker Carlson, Charlie Kirk, all these guys were big J.D. Vance backers. And so they were on the show. In fact, when J.D. Vance was announced, Don Jr. was on our show at the exact same time. It was live with Don Jr. We were at the RNC. And it was like all of the most impressive people that I know are huge backers of J.D. Vance. And damn, were they right. Holy smokes. Were these people right? So 38% of the Democrat base says that that they want Kamala Harris back in the chair. Jasmine Crockett getting 2%. Boy, oh boy. Exciting times, ladies and gentlemen. Exciting for us. I really honestly can't wait. Now our next guest. Ladies and gentlemen, our next guest, somebody who went viral over the past week and who made it into my timeline. I said, wow, that's an instant follow. Was promoted by Elon Musk. His video explaining why he left the Democrat Party has done multi-millions of views, some 30, 40 million views. Here's a short clip from it, and you've probably seen it. His name is Isaiah Carter, and you'll know why it went viral in just a second. Here we go.
This fucking political party, the Democratic Party, have lied to us about everything. They've lied about being the party of the middle class. They've lied about being the party of peace. They've lied about being the party that wants to help poor people. Okay? What the last several weeks have proven to us all is that this is a cadre of criminals and losers and spoiled children of affluent parents who were more concerned about looking good than actually doing good. These are people who were more concerned about looking like they were doing something for the American people than actually doing things for the American people.
You can see why this video did, we just checked, 32 million views. Isaiah Carter, we're very excited to announce, joins the program live now. Isaiah, well done. You've gone viral, man. And
yes,
the truth rings, doesn't it, man? It just resonates.
You know, I have to say, I never thought that a lunch break video, I cut that on my lunch break, and I had just finished getting some food, and it was right after all of the stuff first came out about Doge, right? And all of the billions of dollars that were going all over the place, and it was overwhelming. It was like, you know what, I never knew, like, this is a political party that I used to that I went pretty hard for. I supported the Democratic Party from about 2010 is when I officially changed parties. I had voted for Barack Obama in 2008 and then made the full switch. So we're talking about like 15, 16 years worth of support. And then for them to just betray our trust the way that they did, it was like, you know what, I'm tired. I got to make this. And 33 million views later, I'm on with another apostate who was directly affected by the left. Am I correct about that, Benny?
Yeah, I mean, listen, they tried to kill us in D.C. and burn my house down with my baby inside. And so, yeah, I'd say that's affected.
Oh, my God.
And so we're like, listen, man, we're all fighting the same problem here, which is a government that is totally and completely unaccountable to the people that it's supposed to be about. And I think that, maybe I live in a bubble, but when I'm like out and people are mowing their lawns in my neighborhood and I'm like chatting people up at the ice cream store or the coffee shop or the restaurants or waiters, like people seem locked in. I don't know where it's like where you are, but like people are waking up, man.
Well, I'm in New York City. I'm in Brooklyn specifically. And before I go any further, you are welcome here in New York anytime. So come on up when you want. I talk to people a lot up here, and even I'm noticing a difference when I talk to people. I remember I was in a supermarket one day in Manhattan picking something up, and a black guy that the cashier that I was working with was a black gentleman, a little younger than I am, was telling me like, I'm not voting for Kamala Harris at all. And this was during the election last year. So, certain people that I speak with at work, I mean, you do have some people who were like, Harris, like strong Harris supporters, but a good amount of people are either very tacit about their support for Trump, or they're pretty outright with it, and they give very good, and they're able to rationalize why they did it.
Trump won boroughs. Trump won boroughs. Trump did that rally in Harlem that was unbelievable. You couldn't get in. There were people like for miles waiting to get in. It's incredible.
That was the Bronx. And yeah, like there were people that came from all over the place. In fact, the Bronx is the borough that got the most swing, the largest swing to Trump. I believe it was plus 11, if memory serves. So this notion that, matter of fact, I remember watching a clip of Tucker Carlson saying something very similar about California, how California is this majority Hispanic state, and Hispanics are very much conservative in their views, as are black people for the most part. Okay, I'm not going to say we all are, but for the most part, we do have conservative, we'll say, tendencies, as it were. And this is the first time that minorities en masse are actually starting to see the Democrat Party for what they are and are making a very marked switch, while the ones who are moving further to the left are, no offense, but white leftists, white liberals. Yeah. They're the ones in the wilderness right now, and we're the ones trying to keep the country on track.
Yeah, so the Bronx, that's where AOC is from. That's what AOC represents, right? Like, so
a portion of it.
And AOC's up there on the list of people who Democrat base wants to be president in 2028, which I find particularly fascinating and entertaining.
Yeah, good luck.
It's the most entertaining timeline, Isaiah. I can't wait. I honestly can't wait. Your take on this list? Why don't we, producers, let's grab the list and pop it up. But AOC's up at the top. Kamala Harris up at the top. Pete Buttigieg. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. All the entire rogues gallery of the last 4 years. Yeah. Let's see how well that goes. And here's what's crazy about AOC. I want to give you some pretty good context about that.
Please.
So New York 14, the 14th congressional district, is split between two boroughs. It's the northern portion. The northern portion is that of the Bronx, and then the bottom half is Astoria, Queens. Okay, which is the northern tip of Queens. Guess what time she spends the most? Guess what place she spends the most of her time in? In Astoria,
not Queens. Yeah.
No. It's not the Bronx.
Yeah,
she's never in the Bronx. She's never. In fact, I remember constituents used to complain about her not having a congressional office. You couldn't reach her. In fact, she eventually had to start sharing an office with another member of Congress. So it's like, so I don't know what's changed. I mean, like I live in Brooklyn, so I don't know what's different now. But the fact that this lady is presented to the American people as this paragon for, you know, for black and brown people, it's like, you're never around us. And everyone knows this. It's hilarious to me.
You can definitely see it in the dance moves here. She's fake. She's been, I don't know what that is.
That's called being a try-hard, Benny.
Yeah.
That's being a try-hard, okay? And the thing about AOC, like, she loves her fake accents just like Kamala, so
yeah,
none of that surprises me.
I'm sensing a trend here. Okay, so here's the actual breakdown. Kamala Harris leading the way, 36%. Okay. Pete Buttigieg with 10%. That's it. It's a bold strategy. Gavin Newsom, that's not going to happen. Gretchen Whitmer, Mark Cuban. Well, look at that. But it looks like Kamala's. It looks like it's Kamala's. What? It looks like it's Kamala's to lose. Looks like it's Kamala's here to lose, man.
God.
What do you? I mean, I don't think that's gonna. I don't think it's gonna work out really great.
Listen, if the choice is between a drunken communist and the bright new, the boyish young face of maternity leave in America in Pete Buttigieg, I mean, if this is the best they got, then I like the GOP's chances in 2028. That is if the GOP comes out with the right ticket. And and to borrow a phrase from our leftist friends, I am manmanifesting a JD Vance Byron Donalds ticket for 2028. I like that one.
All right, that's two big time favorites of this audience.
Oh my God.
So somebody who's not a favorite of this audience is Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is catching it this morning for his appearance on Saturday Night Live last night, where he pantomimed a MAGA supporter who is scared to shake hands with black people. Given the fact that you have probably the most viral video in MAGA circles right now as a black man, what's your message, Tom Hanks?
Stick to Colin Wilson. Okay, like I don't. That was projection. That's projection. I mean, I'm gonna just say this real quick, and this is a theory that I have when it comes to the relationship between black people and most of the white folks that they encounter. If you look at the fact that that black people are mostly in urban cities, the vast majority of our population are in cities, and most of us only really deal with urban, with like the white people who live in urban areas are mostly leftist, right? They're liberal, they're leftist. So the most of the racism that I've heard black people talk about, I'm convinced it's all coming from leftist circles.
Interesting.
Because I grew up in predominantly black and predominantly white and suburban settings. Okay, like I grew up in the church. That is, I want to just clarify that. I did not experience any of the real deal kind of racism that people talk about. Like, you know what? Like I'm 6'3" and like 300 plus. I walk past a white lady on the streets of Brooklyn and I see her clutch her purse a little tighter. I bet you that woman voted for Kamala Harris in 2024. So everything that you see on the screen is projection, in my opinion. It's like this is how they feel, but because they can't handle any type of criticism on themselves, of course they're going to project it onto their political enemies. It's Marxism 101, and let's just stop pretending here.
If you want to see true systemic and institutional racism in America, come out as a conservative if you are the member of an oppressed minority. Do that. I mean, we have so many friends, and you look through their DMs and you look through the messages that they get. It is so vile, and it's just so much hate flooding in. I'm sure you've experienced it since you went viral over the past few weeks, Isaiah. And it's always coming from the left. Man, it's some of the darkest, nastiest stuff. On the other side, if you want to experience real love, go to a MAGA rally. And
I haven't been to one yet.
Yeah,
I haven't been to one yet.
I would recommend. I mean, you know, Trump's obviously you're right. He didn't do the rally at Harlem, but he did go to the bodega right in Harlem. Is that correct? The bodega
barbershop.
in Harlem.
It was a barbershop. It was a barbershop he went to.
Okay.
Yeah. And he had a bunch of guys around him, and the guy, and I think the owner of the barbershop that he was visiting was telling him about how his rent had jumped up from like $4,000 or $5,000 to somewhere over $20,000 or something like that. I'm getting the numbers mixed up. You know, maybe your producers can look that up real quick. But I remember that conversation well, enough to know that there was at least a conversation with black men on the part of President Trump, which is far more than Kamala Harris was offering.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris was literally Kamala Harris's plan for black men was weed and crypto.
That's right.
That was it.
Yes.
So that's all we are, huh?
Yeah, was I hallucinating?
That's all we are.
No, we lived through that. We actually saw that. Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah, it was an insult beyond insult, and it just made me remember. Like, listen, this is like, if this is how they think of us, if this is how little they think of us, why in the world are we giving these people our vote? Why do we keep doing this? Look at Chicago, for instance. You've got that group Chicago Flips Red, where they're basically screaming at Mayor Brandon Johnson every single day about his antics. That guy's got like what, a 13, somewhere like a 31 or percent approval rating in the city of Chicago right now. No, like progressive. Matter of fact, I'm not going to use progressive. Communist policies don't work. And when they don't work to the point where even the minorities that you're keeping as pets start to feel like what are we doing? What are we doing?
What is your message to President Trump? As somebody who has, again, just sort of bared your soul, and I'm sure you had no idea that it would go so viral. Clearly the president's agenda has affected you pretty profoundly.
Mm-hmm. My message to President Trump is this: keep going. Keep going. It's only 2 words: to keep going. I'm getting everything I voted for. I wanted a clean out of the federal government. I wanted lower taxes and lower inflation. And I know that the only way that's going to happen is if we lower government spending. And judging from how much of our tax money, my tax money, your tax money, that has gone to everything but what helps us and our fellow Americans, those right now are my only 2 words: keep going. President Trump, keep going. And also, thank you for acknowledging Black people by name, specifically in your inauguration address. A lot of people love to say that that Trump is this white supremacist. It's almost like Pavlov's bell. When they just like somebody will just rattle off and just go, well, Trump's a white supremacist. They can never explain how or why, but white supremacists don't thank Black and Hispanic people for their vote in the inauguration speech. They don't do it. I don't know, but yes. But my message to the president is keep going, and thank you for everything that you've done so far. You're awesome.
It's a really inspiring time to be alive, Isaiah. It's amazing to see the good energy and the good vibes. It's been amazing to connect with you. We hope that you're a regular on the program. Obviously, we have the Wilson shout out here. Maybe Tom Hanks can stick to this. Maybe this is Tom Hanks when he's sent to Guantanamo Bay, right?
But you know what? Probably.
Yeah, this is right.
It's my hope, dude. But you know what? And also to you, Benny. I've been keeping up with you. I've been keeping up with your story since the other place that you used to work for. I don't know if you mentioned them, but to watch you grow into this media powerhouse over the last several years, salute to you, man. Seriously, you're doing a great job.
You know what? It's a movement, and it's just an honor to fight with patriots. Have the same thing that I do, right? Which is a safe country to raise our kids in.
That's all we want.
And to leave this place.
Well, I don't have kids yet. I don't have kids yet, but I'm an uncle.
10-10.
I'm an
10-10
uncle.
would recommend. Along with the MAGA rally, I recommend that you go follow Isaiah Carter and head on over to 150,000 followers. Isaiah, man, you are a rocket ship, brother.
Thank you, man.
Exciting. It's a very, very exciting time to be alive. And patriots like Isaiah make it all the more fun. We're going to have fun in the golden era. God bless you, Isaiah. Thank you.
God bless you too, brother. Stay safe down there.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a busy week ahead of us. We are excited to be heading off to Washington, D.C. We will take with us our Patriot Mobile devices. Patriot Mobile, who keeps us connected while we are on the road, out and about. We're going to be having a lot of fun. It's good. We're going to be having a lot of fun. Get ready. Watch this space. It's going to be exciting. We'll be speaking at CPAC, and we'll be providing for you some great behind the scenes, let's just say, and we're very excited about it. We've gotten our team all built out, and we're ready to rock and roll. Patriot Mobile will be there right beside us the entire time. Patriot Mobile is available on all 3 major networks. Patriot Mobile supports the First Amendment and the Second Amendment and our sanctity of life, first responders, our military members, because they are the only Christian conservative wireless provider in America. Right now, go to patriotmobile.com/Benny or call 972-PATRIOT for a free month of service with the promo code Benny. Switch to Patriot Mobile today to defend freedom with every single call or text that you make. patriotmobile.com/Benny. Ladies and gentlemen, our verse of the day today. Let's go. From Proverbs, always good to have some wisdom from Proverbs. Work hard and become a leader. Be lazy and become a slave. Get that tattooed, right? Isn't that the point? Isn't this the point? That everything worth doing is going to be hard. There is going to be resistance. We live in a sunken world. Satan takes Christ up to the very top of a mountain and says, hey, look at all the kingdoms of the earth. I can give them to you. Christ doesn't say you can't. Christ rebukes him for tempting him to worship anything other than God and not to worship the treasures of the world. So what's the point? The point is that we live in a sunken world. We live in a sunken place that's going to have a lot of bad motivations. If you're fighting against those evil and dark systems, you're going to get pushback. You're going to get the most pushback, actually. So judge a man by his enemies. Work very, very hard. Become a leader. But if you just bow your head and go about the ways of the world, you'll become a slave. You'll become a slave to evil. So don't do that. Don't do that. Continue to work hard. We'll be working hard for you this week. It'll be exciting. We're going to have a blast. In this, your front seat to the golden era. It's Benny. See ya.
Christmas is right around the corner. And what better gift to give a loved one than this Jackcock 9000? You don't chew Big Red, then you. You should have the right tools too. So that's why you should use Mayfax, the official tampon of NASCAR.
Today's big winner, heck of a win for you today.
Well, Dick, here's the deal. I'm the best there is, plain and simple. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence, and nobody can hang with my stuff. I'm just a big, hairy American winning machine. You ain't first, you're last. You know?
It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.